Alrighty, everybody, welcome to today's stream. I'm here with Magix, the coach of Div 3
Hello
of
there.
Monkey Sports. Welcome, bro, welcome.
Thank you, glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here, man. This is gonna be a freaking banger, you know? This is,
Yeah.
we have Infernal Wolves, their first tournament. This is the A team, the main attraction of Infernal Wolves at this current moment, and it's their League of Legends debut. They're competing in CWL, and they are today fighting diving fighters. Like shit.
I'm so hyped for this. This is gonna be so sick.
Hell yeah. Like, this is gonna be so amazing. So, they are currently getting ready for a Champs League. They are starting at 20:30. So we have 15 minutes to talk about what we expect and what we kind of want to see and what we expect from the teams themselves. So,
Well, I'm coming in here completely blind, so I would like to ask you. I mean, you know the players a lot better than me, of course. Is there anything you think that we can already predict going in without going in blind? Do you know anything that they might pick? Something they're really comfortable on? Something we might see because of that?
So, if we look at how the team wants to play themselves, we have, of course, like if we go over the roster, we have Phobos in the top lane. He's been in a lot of tournaments. He knows like most teams in Div 2 of CWL and such. So most teams are like do know what to expect out of this guy.
Okay.
He's one of like the key holders. He's a very stable player when it comes to actual League of Legends gameplay. He does play very good in lane. I think he is an amazing player when it comes to top lane, and I'm sure we can see a banger out there. Now, when it comes to his champions, I'm a little bit complex by the guy because the guy can play whatever the fuck he wants. It's like if you want to put him on Kled, for example, or if you want to put him on Cassante, Gragas, he will perform. It's like there's no doubt about it. I think we're gonna see something great going on in top lane today.
So you're saying like he is pretty much one of the people to look out for in the match upcoming. He's a. Do you know if he's like an aggressive player or is he more like a silent, like gathering momentum, slowly building it up like Korean players, where they slowly you look up and they have like a 2K gold lead out of nowhere and 2 kills, or is he like a massive burst out player, big YouTube plays, heavy vocal?
Like the thing is, he's a bit of both. He can play whatever you need.
Oh.
He's the type of person, like, if you shut him down, if he goes 0-10 in lane, he will always be viable for the team. Or he can make the entire game his game. He can go in and legit get 10-0 in a lane, and he can still, perform anywhere. He can be 0-10, be inside of their nexus and be like, I'm the best, bitches! He's a really great guy.
You don't hear that too often, because usually when you look at top laners, right, and especially in this kind of tournament where they are a little bit more high elo, I'm going to take like Diamond 2-ish as the average for this tournament, maybe Diamond 1.
Yeah, exactly.
You see that most top laners have a very specific style that they like to adhere to. So we have the tank players that slowly like to build up and then set a massive team fight with a teleport around an objective. You see the more bruisery players that really like to explode. They like to take leads and just massively push them ahead for their team. But what you don't often see is these kind of players, as you just said, that play a bit more distinct or have a more distinct play style than others that can mix. Because usually it's either one or the other, but if he has double, that's going to be a problem for the enemy team.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I don't think that if the enemy team wants to win today, I do not think top lane is the focus they should go for. Because shutting him down is not going to help them whatsoever, in my opinion at least. If we go over to the jungle, we have Nolan, Wati Grinta. I mean, that guy, like, he is a great jungler, for starters. I think it's been a mix of everything. Like, it's his first tournament. I don't know exactly what we can expect from him inside of this tournament. It's his first ever tournament he's playing. He's a bit new to the competitive scene itself. But from what I've seen in the scrims, I mean, he's a beast. I think his clearing is really good. I think he does perform certain ganks to a very well extent.
I mean, when you look at newer players, right? Usually they can be a problem for the team because they don't have experience. They might have stage fright. We've seen it in the past before. But it's also a massive advantage because if you're not known in the scene yet, either they're going to fully ban you out or they're not going to ban you at all, which means that you have full leverage and the element of surprise is at your disposal. And like you said here, if he's already showing this in scrims, they have to ban him out because they don't know the extent of his strengths yet, the extent of how he plays, which can be a massive advantage for Wolves.
Yeah, no, exactly.
How about the mid laner? Let's move down to the mid laner. Does he have a specific playstyle, or is he a certain way? How long has he been with the team? What do you know about him?
So the mid laner joined just a couple of weeks ago.
Oh. Okay.
So we had a mid laner pass. The video is out on the channel. Sadly, he wanted to step down due to some private reasons when it comes to school, etc. So we decided we were gonna get and make sure that he feels comfortable with his school, and then we can perhaps put him back in the team later on, or if he wants to pursue something else, right? So the thing is, we decided to get this new mid laner, and he's been really solid so far. He's a very communicative player. He's very stable in lane. I think he is what the team needs at this point in the need. I think they are a very he's a very calm and collected player. He's very chill. Like, he doesn't get stressed or nervous in those type of matters. He's very outgoing. Is very focused on the game itself.
Oh, that's really good. That's really what you want. You know, there are people, especially I play in teams as well. If I have played in teams, I've managed high elo teams. When I look at a team, when I want a mid laner, I don't want anyone. I don't want someone that can... I mean, I don't mind someone that can make massive plays, but usually that also comes with either a little bit of ego, or that comes with overextension or overconfidence, right? And that can really bring a team down. When I look at a mid laner, the one thing I want is stability. Being able to maybe not die, being able to continuously work with the team, bring synergy, not almost be like the jungler, where it's the glue that keeps the team together in a way, you know, that can keep the peace. And if that's a mid laner that I hear from you right now, that is what he can be, then I definitely think mid could be a good surprise to keep watch on this game.
Absolutely. I think that this entire part is going to be a banger when it comes to the players themselves. Like, he's going to be super stable. I think he's going to be really fucking chill when it comes to it.
Then let's move down. So we have had the top, you know, you said he can be a little bit of everything. Jungler was a bit newer, but has been doing amazing. Then we have the mid laner that you said, like, has been really what the team needs. Then what about the bot lane? Do they have... I mean, I know a little bit about the support from our earlier talks. but do tell about the bot lane.
So this is where it all comes to place. Like, this is the finalized part of this roster. I mean, we have the AD carry. He's also kind of new to the team itself. We had a set roster back in the time when we had, for example, Malor, also on the Infernal Wolves YouTube channel that you guys can go and check out. It's in the descriptions, of course. Go check it. And then we have, when we start talking about it, we have, of course, best support in the world, by the way. Don't question him. We won't question him. So we have, of course, the new guy, Beyond. He's really solid in lane from what I've seen so far. He's very chill. He's very constructive when it comes to it all. He doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be affected by stress itself either.
Okay.
And he seems to also be very verbal. Monkey Sports 2. Skills isn't a support anymore. He takes all the kills. That's completely fair. Thank you so much for the follow, Monkey Sports 2. So pretty much, if we go over to the team captain themselves, the support skills. Guy,
he's the team captain.
He's the team captain and the shot caller of the team. So he's the guy. I think he still is. I don't know if he's gonna be shot caller for this. I don't know what our coach is cooking for us today. I've been kind of wanting to stay out of this kind of knowledge because I want to make sure that this is as even and as fair as possible for everyone. You sound so professional, Lassie. Thank you, Phil. I love you. So, thank you for the follow, man. So if we go over to it, we have some really impressive stuff here where skills. There are memes about skills when it comes to scrims. His ultimates are known to be top of the line, if we say it like that. He doesn't.
I've heard.
Yeah. he's definitely going to be a thing to look out for, like this entire bot lane. I think that we want to look at bot lane and top lane as our main priorities here, because the mid laner, in my personal preference, like when I look at this team, he's not the main focus of the team. He's going to be there, he's going to be stable, but he's also going to roam a lot, right? And then we have the jungler playing with him and the support. So I think we're going to see more pressures on bot and top, bot and top side of the map. And this bot lane, when they get ahead, they can carry. It's just they have some unconventional fights every once in a while that I've noticed throughout the time. That can, of course, happen here.
And
I mean,
the one thing that I'm looking on is, when we look at the enemy team, the things I've heard from them is that their bot lane can be pretty good.
Oh yeah.
We then have to hope, of course, that their support will not. Our support will not maybe make a misplay, forget to press R, and fall behind. And unconventional. Says Cameron. But we just have to hope that they won't fall too far behind against it, because then they might be in a little trouble. Even though I definitely think on top we will have the advantage. But now that we have talked about all the players, we should definitely have a talk about the current meta that we see, especially in like Flex and solo queue, right? When we look, for example, at Flex, the number of picks that we see, for example, for mid lane, tend to be very controlling. I think we see something like the Aurelion Soul, that it's still pre-nerf. He will get nerfed next patch, but current patch he's extremely strong. Very high pick rate. He has a 53% win rate and about an 8% pick rate. Do you think we will maybe get to see the Azul, the Kassadin, the Cassiopeia in this team, or do you think maybe it will hit the ban phase immediately because it's that powerful currently?
I don't really know. I don't know exactly what they plan. I think that we might see something like a control mage in general.
Because Orianna or something.
Yeah, Orianna, Syndra.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about the Azul. I think the Azul can be strong. But from what I've seen from both of these teams when I've actually checked them out, they both don't seem to go for super unconventional picks. They kind of go for the same kind of like, okay, so we have a standard tank top lane, a jungle that is more of an engager, control zoning mid laner, and the bot lane goes like a hyper carry scaling bot lane, And this is kind of what the team has gone for, both of them, when I've checked them out. And they are currently going into the draft. So let's go and check that out. Here we go. So,
fortunately, that won't mean Urgot mid, I take it.
No, they have banned Maokai, Braum, and Lucian, and Infernal Wolves has banned Blitzcrank, Hui, and Udyr, and they have first picked Varus here. That must be a Varus ADC. So let's see what the diving fighters are going in for here.
And from the side of Wolves, I know definitely that Varus has been a big comfort pick for that side. I've voted before, I've talked with the players, and they respond by picking an Ezreal this early. That can be a bit risky.
I mean, Ezreal is, like, all they have to do is go, like, Poppy to actually just deny them. Poppy, Talia, to make sure that the team can't move in general. It's risky, absolutely, to pick Ezreal here. But I see where they want to go, because Varus, Ezreal, it's like, Ezreal is able to farm alone compared to Varus, where Varus needs to have his support quite a lot, while Ezreal just, okay, I can farm alone, and I can send my support wherever I want him to be.
It does seem that it is stuck on stream currently. It's stuck at 26 seconds.
Okay, there you go. All right, there you go. Okay, so we have Nautilus with Ezreal. We pick a Karma, and apparently a Xin Zhao is being hovered right this minute.
I would honestly really like Xin Zhao for them here, because Xin Zhao is a really easy way to get into the backline. Really just jump in. Early damage really good as well. Still, even though he has gotten a little bit of attention from the nerf team, very strong jungler to this day. The one thing that I do want to point out is the Nautilus on the other side. That's a pick that I did not expect. I actually thought DF would go for the Karma here. Really get that safe poke bot lane that's really hard to play against with Varus early on.
Yeah, I think that is because they want to deny Nautilus from Varus because of the pick, like the hyper pick potential they have here. Now, if you see DF is banning Orianna, one of the control mages that Scup in Infernal Wolves is currently playing quite a lot with the team, which is really good by them to actually ban. But we see the Lilia answer to Xin Zhao. Currently, it seems like a very even game in the matchup itself. I don't really know which draft I prefer, because now Varus Karma is in bot lane, able to poke out Ezreal Nautilus, even though Ezreal should have the poke capabilities here. they still have the Karma Q with the R enhanced Q, you know, it's gonna be huge.
I mean, if we still look at what they have currently, right? So far, I actually like the side of Infernal Wolves more. I mean, I'm the, not the party that has no vote in this. So I'm more objective. Because the side of Infernal Wolves so far, if you look at the comp, is a lot easier to execute.
Yeah.
Karma can poke around early. If Nautilus hooks her is not that big of a deal, especially when she goes Malignance early. That's just going to be a massive annoying lane for DF to play into. And then Xin Zhao has a lot of early control. And if you look at the bans as well, the Azir and the Twisted Fate are literally there, so they cannot disrupt the team fight using Nautilus or Lilia. So they cannot keep everyone away from the Ezreal on mid, or that they cannot make rotation plays using a Twisted Fate's ultimate.
Yeah.
To just deny and set up for bot lane, because that's the one thing that bot lane of Infernal Wolves currently is very weak on, and that is point and click CC. For the rest, they are very strong, going to be very problematic for DF to deal with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They do pick Sion in the top lane. That is a security pick for DF here, going for the Ezreal Nautilus Lilia Sion here. I mean, I see where they're going. If Nautilus gets a hook, I mean, Sion ultimate, Q in answer. I mean, it's a lot of high pressure damage in one single target, But
Yeah.
when that target is dead, what do they generally have against Infernal Wolves that is going to be masterfully, taking down all of them? Oh, we have a sack
Currently-
top lane into answering Sion here.
that's gonna
That
be
is a
top,
banger.
right?
That
That
must
has
be
to
a
be
sack
top.
top lane. That is a sack
Yeah,
top
yeah.
lane. I know Phobos has been playing a little bit of that behind the scenes, and he's been very good for calling it every single scrim that he's been able to. Kind of funny in my opinion, but they are gonna answer with a mid lane. What kind of mid lane would you go for here? I think Syndra could be a perfect opportunity for Infernal Wolves myself, but I also think something more tanky or a control mage like Victor as
hear me
well.
out. I would have loved it. Victor is a really good pick. I would have honestly loved to see a Seraphine here on the side of Infernal Wolves, because not only the damage has been mitigated a little bit, so it's not as bursty as it used to be before. However, with so much setup, and so little range on the side of DF, you could have really made team plays possible and very easily just have forced them down. Because now, indeed, look at the Tristana pick coming through on mid. Tristana is just going to have all the prio against Victor. As soon as level 2 hits, that's an all-in. If she gets that level lead, she's going to just make Victor's life an incredible hell for him to play against. And with something like the Seraphine, you can take a lot longer on mid to scale. You can just take your time, poke from long range, get a Crystal Scepter, and use a Tristana's close range against her. You can use the ultimate to really turn team fights in your control, as you still have Varus and Xin Zhao for extra damage. And Zac as well, Zac can go in the backline, allowing your ultimate to go even longer, to hit even the people in the backline that have jumped backwards, so they're out of the fight as well and actually walk back into the Zac for his Q. But Victor helps. The only problem is he has to stay safe, because if this Tristana gets the lead, then it's going to be very problematic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, this is an interesting comp. Who do you think has the winning comp here in general in that case? If you go unbiased to 1,000.
Can you go back to the screen? Can you go back to the comp screen?
Absolutely. There you go.
My first instinct is saying DF, purely because I am not sure how they're gonna break through the late game Sion. If we look at Varus, I take it Varus has to go attack speed Varus here, even though I'm still a big fan of lethality Varus, especially against the squishies in their team. But I just don't see how they have any way to get through like a 4 or 5k health Sion in the mid game. If Sion is a great frontline for them as well, I think Infernal Wolves definitely has the better pick potential, but in comp total, I would say DF definitely has my favor.
Yeah, okay. That is completely fine. Just hit level 2 first.
If you just look at both of them.
I mean, I see where you're going for with DF here. But I think the easier to execute will be Infernal Wolves here. Because, I mean, if they do get ahead in the early game with, like, for example, on-hit Varus or, crit Varus also works here if he goes, like, full crit, he goes LDR here, for example, and he keeps on, getting ahead and getting further and further ahead, he can get a very early, very good kills on Sion Nautilus. I mean, they won't really be tanky enough. So, the easy to execute early game from Infernal Wolves, I think, might help against the harder to execute late game from DF.
You think the DF game is that hard to execute?
In comparison to both the teams.
Fair.
I'm not saying like if we were. Yeah, no. If we take in itself, like the comp, if we played in solo queue, it could be easy to execute, right? Like I think that an unsynergized team can get this off, but in comparison to both the teams and the team comps they picked, I think that Infernal Wolves has the easier to execute comp. Like I think this is more of a okay, so this is the plan. We're gonna follow it through. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we go next game. I think that is kind of how the coach has thought about this one. But I'm not entirely sure, of course.
I mean, the one thing, if I look at the IWA, for me, they definitely have the easier start of combat potential, right? With the Zac just going in from long range, Xin Zhao being able to follow up, a Varus ultimate coming from the back or coming from the darkness, from the fog. But the problem for me is still, the one thing that keeps worrying me is this late game Sion. People have been joking a bit that Sion is going to be piss useless, but when you have a 5k Sion, most of your damage from IWA is going to be this... this 80 DPS kind of potential. As well, if we look at Victor's items, he doesn't really have anything that really goes through a lot of health. He's more about burst, blowing people up, poking maybe a bit with your laser, but I usually don't see him going Leandries or anything. But if Triss gets a reset, if Sion can just beat his massive wall, then IWA really just has to find a way to get on this Ezreal, get on this Liliad, because otherwise I do think they're in a bit of trouble.
Cav is writing inside of the stream chat, literally just make sure Trist can't get resets and the game is done. Yep. Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
So I think definitely what we should see from IWA is that they give a little bit early attention to mid, to either trying to get this Tristana a little bit behind or to make sure that Victor maybe gets an early kill for his stacks. You know, getting that E leveled up will definitely be a lot of use to this Victor to help farm, to help set up, to help poke the Tristana as well. And from there on, it's a lot easier to deal with. But this Tristana, I really can't, if she just pops off, it's going to be so problematic.
Definitely. But if she does get shut down, and I mean, if the Infernal Wolves can handle just Tristana itself, I feel like the W is going to Infernal Wolves here.
Oh, for
if
sure.
Tristana is just not managing to get here. I think Ezreal is strong, but I don't know if he's... Damage, really. Yeah, no, but with the sake that the new with the sake that the new buff came out on Ezreal, you know, with the Sheen earlier, with the 900 gold Sheen, I do think that the early game bot lane will be harder for Infernal Wolves here. With the sake that
I honestly don't agree.
Okay, you don't agree? Okay.
No, because if you look at the team that Infernal, like, I expect Karma, because we all know the problem with Karma, right? And the new items that have come in. She will just build the ultimate cooldown item, and she will just continuously poke. The key on the bot lane is going to be if Nautilus can hit a hook or two, yeah, then it will definitely be a lot harder to play this. But we have to remember, Nautilus is close range. Varus can just use this hail of arrows to poke him down, give him a little bit of bleeding. Every time he goes for a minion, Karma can use her Q, explode on the minion, even Alt Q, W, to really chunk him down every time he even wants to get close for a stack. If this Nautilus just comes close, they will poke him into oblivion. So for me, it really depends. If the Nautilus is semi-decent, then it could be difficult, but otherwise, they're just going to poke this Nautilus down in 5 seconds.
Yeah, no. Just read the chat. How many hooks will skills eat? I mean, that is a good question. I mean, he's playing Karma. In my opinion, he's not really that famous for it. I wish you luck. Victory to IW. Thank you so much, Joey. Thank you for the follow, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I know, Chris.
But yeah, going back to you, I think it really just depends, because in this bot lane, I actually give the favor to Wolves. The early damage from Ezreal is quite a lot, but you cannot underestimate Varus W, just exploding the stacks on the enemy, the consistent poke, just the chunking out of Nautilus, right? I mean, something like a Brand could do it better, but of course it's a Brand. But a Karma with Malignance, just having her ult Q up every so few seconds, being able to spam her alt E, giving them both a giant shield, it's just going to be so problematic for this Nautilus to deal with anytime they want to go for a trade.
Yeah, no, exactly. So they are currently going in the game. We are, of course, on the spectator delay, which means we're going into the game in 2:30. So we'll be in the game by 2040. Which is completely fair. But this is going to be very interesting to see and check out here. Because I mean, they do have the Sion top lane. Do you think they just want to put the Sion to split push the entire game and just make sure that Zac has to respond to it? Or how would you play this? Where would you place the Sion on the map at this point?
Again, with the comp that IWA has drafted, the one thing that would first look is if what build Varus is going. If he is going attack speed Varus, you know, he's going for the Bork, going for something that can break through a little bit more tanky stuff, then I would just put him on a side lane, make sure that people have to come to him, or he will just immediately burst towers down. He will continuously start stacking on health, and then around the first Baron, around the 25-minute mark, man will have like 5k health, have 2 armor items, and there's not much they can do except for Victor, and Victor is not that hard for them to get onto. One good Nautilus hook and Victor's life is down. So honestly, I would put him in a side lane. I would let him wait. I will not have him help at any dragon. Just make sure to keep Zac there in case Zac TPs, cancel Zac TPs. Just continuously contest Zac, especially when you have Sunfire. You can just start stacking up waves and pushing really fast to make sure that, because Zac doesn't have the best early minion break potential. He doesn't have the early best push potential unless he uses everything, and then everything is on cooldown. So I definitely would love to see Sion just stick top, keep Zac there as much as he can, make sure Zac cannot roam, start using his slingshot to just get enemies ahead, start getting to make sure that Tristana has a good early lane against Victor, so she can just push, be a massive nuisance from level 2 onwards, and then just be a 5k tank at the first big Baron fight, or at the second Baron fight, or at the Soul fight, where they just have to jump on Varus and then they cannot burst through him anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, I think the game is going to be a banger, to be fair, with this. With both of the comps, I think it's going to be... I don't know if it's like... If we say one team goes ahead, both teams have the capabilities to return in this game.
Oh, they for sure do. But for me, the key point here is going to be the bot lane from IWA and the mid lane from DF. I think that is just going to really show who's going to win.
Yeah, and now the bot lane, if we are ahead, going in then Nautilus is going to be the game right here.
Oh, let's go. They do have the better early game on the side of DF, so they have to be a little bit careful because...
Oh, they did get caught. Okay, that is a first blood to Nautilus picking up the Xin. The Zac is trying to go in front to take out the Sion, but Zac dies for it as well. Double kill to the Nautilus already. Holy shit. The Nautilus already. I mean, that is so not worth it at this current point in the game. I mean, they picked up the gold. The gold is currently as well really even. Okay, we have Xin going in on Beyond, and they pick up a kill. Xin does get the kill on Nautilus, which is a good, because that is also a shutdown of 150 gold. That is 450 gold going over to the Xin. If we look at the Lilia right here, she is taking Void Grubs.
Yeah, but you know what? I will give them that. They can have the Void Grubs. This early dragon helps a lot. As long as she doesn't get all 6, it's not that big of a deal. Because here, look at bot.
Okay, bot lane, Beyond Bars picking up his second kill of the game. I mean, just look, he's 700 gold ahead of his Estral counterpart. And Xin is on his way just to deny even more in the bot lane. He's tanking tower shots, but can he get out? No, he did decide to actually get a Q up. Estral picking up a kill on Xin. So, I mean, he's getting this Varus ahead already.
Here we go again.
Okay, they're already pointing for another fight. And I mean, they are getting another kill. He does get hooked. And this actually does mean the death of
might not be the smartest idea.
But Nautilus does pick up the kill on the Xin.
Yeah, blue side is Infernal Wolves, yes.
Yeah, precisely.
Oh wait, here we go, big fight.
This is a fight in the bot lane. They are focusing on Nautilus. Nautilus dies to the Varus. Varus picking it up with the QW. And Lilia is trying to push ahead. She's trying to go for Xin. Varus is trying to get out with the Karma. Xin does die to the Tristana. However, they do have skills, and they have Varus trying to go for a play and try to make sure that it will live. Oh, Beyond is trying to take out the Tristana. It doesn't really work with the poke damage. Let's go back down to bot lane.
Here's Victor, though.
We see that Victor is trying to go for the Tristana. He sees the Tristana. Is he going to flash for it? He has flashed up. He flashes for it, and he gets the kill on the Tristana. And he's trying to now move away from the Lilia. Skills and Beyond is trying to move up as well, trying to make sure that the Victor does not die with this hard engage that he did. Will he die from this play? He will die from this play. Now make sure that they don't die anymore Will they get out? They have to make sure that this wave isn't a bad state. The skills dies to the Estral ultimate getting picked up right here. Let's make sure here. So, Zac is currently going in. This Xin Zhao is going in with the Zac to kill the Sion to make sure that he gets denied of CS. Zac is tanking the tower, making sure that he can live. He is out, and he does actually live. Will the Sion actually kill? The Sion is not able to kill the Zac, and the Zac comes back with almost half HP remaining.
So the fight can literally go everywhere. The one, oh mate, Victor might be in problem. There we go,
yeah, he does get shut down. I mean, we have Grinta, we have the entire bot lane moving up further. I mean, Varus is so ahead at this point that he's going to do so much damage. The Sion is fighting in the bot lane. It's beautiful, beautiful Tristana. Tristana is, however, going for a TP. Victor does not haven't started his TP yet. And now the fight is happening. Tristana gets the shutdown on the Varus. Now they have no damage to actually take care of anything here. Skills is trying to flash out. Zac actually gets a kill on the Lilia, while trying to make sure that the Xin Zhao can't get out. Victor has finally arrived to the fight, but it's a little bit too late, and he's trying to burst out the Sion and not dealing enough damage. Zac has finally gone down to the Nautilus again. This Nautilus is really strong at taking kills here. And Red Team gets to their soul point, allow them to have Drake and just go for Baron here. It's for the fight, I mean, they can just build up so the Sion gets even more HP with this Baron, just put more pressure on the map to make sure to get the next dragon, you know? So I think it's completely fine if Red Team wants to remove the dragon from the game, you just go Baron instead.
I mean, I actually think they, even if they want to take Baron, right, I would actually fight this because I think Red Team knows they're stronger and I think they can fight this. They're not building through this Sion. Varus needs to make a pick here to really make it work. Because like this,
if you look at the fight, Zac is going into the middle of the fight, disturbing the back lane, making sure everybody else is focusing the Sion and Nautilus in the fight. Sion goes down, Varus picks up the kill on the Sion, Xin Zhao kills the Nautilus and goes in for the fight. Sion is trying to make sure that Varus goes down. I mean, the entire bot lane here and the entire fight of blue side is currently winning. They are going in, they kill Victor with the Tristana. Lilia and Estral are putting out the damage to make sure that Estral goes down. And they have secured themselves the dragon earlier. I mean, with the poke, I mean, red side just won that fight. Make sure that they can't really go for the Varus, you know. And I mean, Sion is going into the mid lane. They are fighting. I mean, Skills goes and tanks a complete ultimate. Estral gets picked on both Karma and Varus, and they get down Xin Zhao. They are going to try to end the game right at this point. They are putting up with the wave. They're making sure Zac is going in, trying to make sure that they can't end at this game. But they are putting out so much damage at this point, where they get no one. Zac goes down. The only one alive is Victor. What is they doing this? Is it a BO1? No, it's a BO3.
They did what they needed to do, but now they had no one to absorb this pressure from what the Sion was doing, and the fact that no one can deal with this Sion at all is just becoming so more and more problematic. He's currently something that can break through him early, that can keep him posted. Oh, wait a minute.
Look at this.
Wow, that was a massive Sion miss.
Yeah, the Sion miss, but they are getting kills. I mean, they have gotten kills here, but what is going to happen here? The Astral Kid gets 3 people in the ult, or 2 people in the ult. Varus dies, Karma is the only one alive. This is the end. They are going to push to end the game here. Just look at the damage performing out by this Estral. I mean, Estral gets a quadro kill. That is a huge, huge fight.
And this is the main...
Oh my god, the tower damage! Did you see that tower damage, right?
Yeah, that was just tower destruction.
Yeah, no, what we saw there, that was very, very huge. I mean, like, wow, like, whoa, you know?
This is just unfortunate. You could, like, again, the Sion was just unbeatable. They could not go through the Sion, and this is what just the problem with the draft, right? If you take something that's just a massive wall that keeps scaling, the longer the game goes on, the more you're not ending. It just becomes more and more of a problem. So next draft, I do want to see some more aggression from the top lane. Not per se a tank, but I would like to, first of all, give him the counter matchup like they did now, and then just use something like a tank on bot lane, something that can long range engage. Think, for example, like a Nautilus, a Thresh, a Blitzcrank, even to pull them out of position, which could have been pretty decent here if it wasn't for the Ezreal. But something that can just use long range engage, make sure that they have to fight on their terms, and then if they go for another tank like Sion on top, put something there that can disrupt the Sion, can make his life a living hell, or that can scale as much as he can to make sure that it becomes an even playing field.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, if we put the top lane at a carry potential and just like play for top lane, play for bot, I mean, we are going for an all around. I mean, we saw the Sack was performing early game against the Sion, even like killing him top lane to try to deny the Sion. I mean, it's a good try, but I mean, in general, like the Sion was just getting into a big problem stage at that point.
Yeah.
So I mean, we need to see something that can deny the scale. Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think the bans should be at this point? Like, if we say, like, if we looked at last game, do we think we keep to the same type of bans, or do we change anything, or what? What do you feel?
I think the bans should stay the same. I think the bans were fine. I think it was just a little bit of a problem later in the draft that really hurt. But I think drafts was fine. The bans were fine. I think they should stay the same. I would just do maybe something a little bit more aggressive, something that can push him out of lane, because now it was more. I get why Zach was there, but there was nothing he could do from the start to Sion. The Sion pretty much just had a free stacking lane from the start.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it was hard to see the Infernal Wolves. Like, they were doing really good early game, but they started struggling back when the Sion was actually allowed to scale. And then Ezreal just picked up on like kills all over the map when the Sion was just being a big problem, zoning everybody out. Like the Ezreal was allowed to free poke and just scale up harder from that. No, it's hard to see the pressure that goes into the players themselves, because they do get stressed by that point of seeing like everything that they've built up just go down, down, down. They just lose resources after resources, you know?
Yeah, and because they were ahead, you know, the game could have been won, but I would have liked to see a little bit more aggression than coming out, trying to bait this Tristana to go in. Again, Victor I think was still the right play. However, the problem was Victor needs time to scale, right? And with a comp like this, you don't get the time because they scale faster. So the only thing I would change from the draft is maybe take a different support, something that can help engage, that can help follow up, put top lane on a bruiser, something that can fight, something that can play a little bit more aggressive, and go on from there.
Yeah, no, precisely. So we are just waiting for everybody to gather up to make sure that the next champion select is happening. So yeah, we're making sure the enemies, diving fighters can join in to the game itself, and then we can start the drafting and go into next game. Also, by the way, so everybody is aware, we are having an interview with the team captain skills after the games are done for today. So be sure to stay after the games are done to actually check that out, because we're gonna get some inside information out of that. What do you think we'll expect in that interview, Magix?
The one thing I maybe not expect, but something that I would like to see is just some reflection as well in the games. Something that like to see what way they could have improved, what they could have done better. For example, especially like say the game from now we go 1-2, right? Why could the games have gone better? Why could we have improved? What could we have done to still come back from the game? Because that retrospection is something that I always like to do with my players after a loss, to just see like, okay, how can we grow? What do we do next time? How can we learn? And from experience, I know that really works well, especially for when we get back into games after, when we go back in competition. Because it just shows that they have some retrospection, they go looking back on the games themselves, see what they could do, and it just helps them grow as players and team as well. So I would love to see that from the players.
Yeah, no, precisely. I mean, I think that's going to be very interesting to see as well. Like, we're gonna talk about the first game, of course, with skills. See exactly how he felt about the game. Do you think he felt good about the game, or do you think he got a bit nervous that the game happened the way it did, or what would you say we should explain from that part?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think he probably wasn't too happy about the game went in the long term, right? Uh, but it's all up for grabs at this point. I think before to make a conclusion on that, we should wait a little bit longer and see like uh, how the next game goes. Because I think if the next game goes like this close again, I definitely don't think they will be that happy.
Yeah, no, because the game was really, really close in the long run, but it ended up with it. Now we are joining into the spectator link here within a second that I'm gonna start up. Boom, there we go. So as soon as the draft is ready, we're gonna go in and talk about the new draft that is coming out in itself. Now, what can we expect from this game? Do we think that we're going for something similar? Do we think that the enemy is going for something similar? Or are we going, you know, a complete coin flip build?
No. I think we'll go exactly the same, or like 80%. I think top might do the opponents might do something different when it comes to the bot lane, because in the end the bot lane was not the thing that worked out, right? If we look at what happened on the bot lane, they did get stuck. They started really weak. The poke bot lane was just too strong for them to deal with, so I definitely think we might see something change there. If we also look at the draft that we drafted, and from what our players like to play, I would definitely not be surprised to see a Blitzcrank being picked as a third or fourth pick. Purely because from what I've seen in this game, they do like to play like a little bit of mobile champions, right? So we could see something more aggressive on top, and then like a Blitzcrank to, as I said before, make them fight on their terms instead of ours. Something we could also still see is something like a less aggressive mid laner, like something different than a Tristana, and maybe see something like Smolder. Smolder has been getting more and more popular in mid and top because he's easy to farm with, but especially in mid, it could be this really strong scaling pick for them that can really easily end the game if we need to. So I would love to see a Smolder here. I think it definitely fits what we've seen from the opponents so far and how they want to play and how they work with the comp. It's really hard to deal with as well. It has a lot of outs. I think it could be really well utilized as well. So that's a pick I would love to see being picked up. But otherwise, I think we're pretty much staying the same.
Alright, yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, Wrecker in the chat is saying, I think they're gonna do the same style but have another tank jungle. So probably like a Jarvan instead, or maybe something along those lines,
Yeah,
maybe.
Tichuani, something. Maokai is still very decent in jungle as well.
Perhaps they're going for a Maokai support as well, because the Maokai support is really strong, and I know Skills is really playing a lot of the Maokai support. And I mean, we have the Poppy, J4, and Seju. They're gonna ban Maokai? Yeah, most likely. I mean, they did ban Maokai last game, but I mean, we'll all see.